Hello, this is Compound Interest Stock Guy, and we're here with Scott Sycamore. So stay tuned. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. It helps my channel grow. I appreciate it. Give us thumbs up. Subscribe to Scott Sycamore as well. He's got a good channel. So today in this video, we are going to talk about the industry in cannabis and the direction that we believe it is going. So we are not your regular people. We have thought very deep about the industry and we have a good insight into the industry. So yeah. Uh,
I think so. No frills around here, baby. We're
no,
not.
no
We're
frills.
not. Yeah, we're giving you raw,
Yeah.
opinion slash information. Who
Uh,
gives a shit?
we also want to disclose we're not financial advisors. This is just for entertainment, information purposes. But yeah, do it as you will. Do your due diligence. Don't buy just based on what we talk about just because we are talking about a company doesn't mean we're buying it.
Yeah,
We're just cannabis enthusiasts in the industry, and we like to talk about things and we learn from each other, and we want to share our information.
and we have stuff like this.
He
Yeah,
does. I don't do that here because I can't.
you can't. Why not?
I live in a condo. It's just kind of not really. Yeah.
I live in an apartment building with 33 apartments.
Yeah, I mean you could do that, but it's just basically with smell and you could get in trouble. Like I live in a strata condo, they could give me a fine. I mean, I could do it on my balcony and all that stuff. I'm kind of staying.
Even even though it's legal, you could still get fined.
That's a good question, man. Obviously, you could fight that. I have a medical card, but I'm
But who
just
wants that shit? Who wants
yeah.
that in their life? Yeah, I mean, just as a little introduction, I'm loading up some
This is
baby.
a safer rule.
Oh, nice. So this is Baby Blues. I got them from my local dispensary. Um, I think the hook with these is they're smaller. Like it's smaller. Where's that camera? Oh shit! Of course I dropped a nug on my this. The nugs are like this big instead of being bigger, so it's cheaper. I got an eighth for 20 bucks. Bless you. I got 3.5 grams for 20 bucks, but it's pretty. It's not the strongest stuff. It's pretty weak actually, so I can smoke like more of it.
I
So
like I like very mellow stuff actually sometimes too, man. Like
me too.
it's nice to have some really strong high THC indica stuff that'll
Hmm.
put you to sleep, but it's also nice to just kind of have some low THC, medium CBD to just kind of be calm.
Right. And let me show you, which I already showed you before we recorded, but there's a uh-oh, here comes the roomie. Here he is. Let's get him on air. What up, dog? Let's bring him on. This is Major Lee. Do you see him?
Can't see him.
See him right there. Um, my roomie here, he's got a bigger YouTube channel than both of us combined
Yeah,
will ever have.
I checked out one of his videos. He actually is pretty
Wait, check it.
prominent in the industry.
He pointed at me. That means we're doing good. Yeah, so as I showed earlier with no context, see, these are, they call them sour belts. So they're basically just sour, candy strips, all soft, whatever, lots of sugar. And this is 300 milligrams, in one package. I threw out the real package. It's from Wow Brands, WOW. Um, I get them in the dispensary nearby. There's 300 milligrams in the entire package, what you saw in that bag. And what's cool, and why edibles and drinkables and stuff are going to be so big is because you can really kind of control that dose. Really, you know what I mean? Like you could have 100 milligrams at a time. You could have 10. I mean, you got to eyeball it. If there's 300 milligrams, you take a little piece. How much is that? 5 milligrams, three, whatever. So you can really kind of say, oh, I can eat this much or that much, and then kind of tweak it from there. So I think that's a good thing. I mean, obviously you can do that when you smoke too, but that's like a little bit different.
I think it's a recreational thing. I don't think with edibles, I mean, based on those things, I don't think you can completely be certain about using that as a medical tool to just dose. I think medical the way it needs to be is a tincture with a milliliter thing. It's like, oh, it's like a zero point 0.5 milliliter of THC, or they take a certain amount of milligrams in a soft gel or hard gel or whatever
Yeah,
the case.
I mean, the whole point, it's like, it's all about the dosage no matter what you're doing. When it comes to medical stuff, obviously, in theory, it should be the most, potent, the most clean, obviously free of any mixing with anything else and all that stuff. And yeah, it's just the right dosage and giving it to you in a different way because, yeah, some people might just want to take a pill or a soft gel or whatever. Or when the pharmaceuticals do it, they'll just make it like a little aspirin or whatnot. It's not all
Aurora has some really small soft gels,
right.
and I think those, if they get into USA, that's going to be really prominent in the industry,
I
and
like the gel cap idea. I really do.
that's gonna help them out getting a big pharmaceutical deal too, I think.
Yeah. And because this is the next wave because we bring it to you first here on this channel. The next wave is going to be we can talk about CBD to the till the cows come home, and we will. But the next wave, like 2-3 years from now, is the big pharma, big pharmaceutical, synthetic THC and CBD, where they can make it in the lab
Yeah,
in big
get
amounts.
yeah, basically, I was reading the presentation for CanTrust, and what they
Hmm.
said on CanTrust is their outdoor grow was going to be about 15 cents per gram.
Hmm.
And then they also, in the presentation, they talk about synthetic cannabinoids, and they say half a penny per gram. So,
Ooh,
so that's
that's what I'm
that's
talking about.
that's 30 times less than the outdoor grows. But the outdoor grows, which we are going to get into,
Yeah.
is where there's going to be very good profits for these
Well,
companies.
the profits are there regardless, but I mean, think of the gulf. Like you're already making a shitload of money growing it for $1 a gram. Now you're talking about synthetically making it for half a penny or whatever the fuck it is. I mean, it's the scalability of it is tremendous, but again, we're not quite there yet because it all the infrastructure and all that has to be built out, the labs and everything. I mean, there are labs that are already good to go, but to kind of get the contracts and the whole thing on that mass scale with the big pharmas and the big buyers, I mean, here's some insider info for you. Johnson and Johnson just bought a shitload of CBD to put in their products going forward.
How do you know this?
I just do. I have ears everywhere.
Dude, I'll tell you who's connected with Johnson and Johnson is Newstrike has one of a person came from Johnson and Johnson,
Right.
and so I think Hexo they because Hexo's taken over Newstrike, they have somewhat of a connection. There's a chance that they could be connected with Johnson and Johnson.
Sure. Sure.
When I listened to the CEO, he was talking about that they want to have $6 billion to invest into global cannabis. So the only way they're going to get that money is by a big player investing into them, or if
Mhm.
they're going to dilute the fuck out of the company.
Like, okay, here's further insider info. Uh, I heard that one guy made $14 million in commissions making a sale of CBD to Johnson and Johnson. 14 million in commissions. And what's that? 5% or something, mate? Whatever it is. Let's say 10%. That's still 150 million or whatever it is of CBD buy. And that's probably just a little starter buy, you know
If
what I'm
that's
saying?
legit, man, that's where it is. Johnson and Johnson is absolutely humongous.
Yeah.
I think they're like 200 or 300 billion dollar in company.
One of the biggest in the world for sure. So yeah, man. So that's where we're at. That's where we're going. They're going to release all the CBD skin creams and, freaking ass powders, jock, jock itch cream.
I think Pfizer's gonna get involved too, man.
Oh, everybody will be involved. We bring you the winners first, but the winner in this case is just the industry and the chemical in general. Like, see, it's not a joke, man. CBD is going to be everywhere in everything if you choose it. Not everyone's going to want it, of course.
So why do you? I have my own opinions, but I just want to hear what your opinions are. Why do you think that CBD is going to be so prevalent in the medical industry and all these other different industries?
Well, let me ask you a question first. Have you tried it?
Absolutely, I have.
Sure. Okay, so I don't know what your feelings are, but as I've tried it a handful of times, but especially with something like this, which is I've showed this on the show before. This company, Baby Hooter, and this is CBD little drink mix, and you stir it in your drink. Man, when I take this seriously, any pain I have goes away, and I get right to bed, and I have a hard time going to sleep in general. That thing, and that's like 5 milligrams or 10 milligrams.
Dude, those would sell so fast on our online stores, man. The thing is,
Yeah.
we got CBD products, but a lot of them have still THC in them.
And that's where synthetics come into play a lot more, by the way. The, half a penny a gram lab created CBD or whatever, because they can really, really make it with 0% THC, like nothing. It's all in the genetic code or whatever. So yeah, and that's what the people demand. Like the market wants
Well,
zero
yeah, and
THC.
and the reason, like, I'll tell you why my opinion is, and I've talked to the Namaste nurse about this. I always I, I was kind of bitching to her, like saying, I'm like, straight up, I am not buying from these companies their medical programs because they don't have any 0% THC products.
There you go.
And then on the rec market, you can occasionally buy like
Well,
pretty much 0% soft gels from CanTrust and Aurora,
yeah. I
but
mean,
you can't get them on the medical market. Like, that's so effed up.
yeah, it's like that's the thing. To me, it's like there's no difference between the medical and recreational. I know that's kind of how it's portrayed in the news or whatever.
I think there's difference, man, honestly, but I do hear what you're saying. There is some people that are recreational users, but they also just got into medical just to get easier access, and so I can understand where you're going with that.
If it's legal, it's and you can get it because the point is like again, back to why CBD will be so big because it's going to replace things like aspirin and certain
Yeah.
it's actually an antipsychotic, believe it or not. It can replace drugs like antidepressants and lithium and shit like that, right? Which we know that's a multi-billion trillion dollar stuff. So imagine walking into your local drugstore and even let's say 10% of the things on the shelf had CBD in them, which isn't even that much, right? But 10% of the local drugstore, that's still a lot of products right there. And so it's just going to get more and more. And I mean, I'm going on a flight from Los Angeles to France in a week and a half, not a long 10, 11-hour flight. And I'm definitely bringing some CBD with me, man, to help me get to sleep in case to help with everything, motion
And
sickness, nausea, whatever, anxiety. And that's the thing with the zero THC also is a lot of times it technically won't be zero. It might be 0.05% THC. Now, you and I know that that doesn't really affect you at all. That doesn't get you high, right? Having like 0.1% THC. But that's the thing, those medical type or whatever you want to call them.
even the health and
Yeah.
wellness,
What's up?
I think the health and wellness, they want below 0.3% THC, I think.
Yeah. Now, and again, in practical terms, that's not going to fuck you up. You're not going to get high from 0.02% THC, right? But for people's knowledge and people, especially like older ones, maybe who are like, oh, I can't have any THC in my body. I don't want to feel high, blah, 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 blah. And that will drive the thing even more of,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's what,
Yeah, you make a good point, man. Basically, if you use Tylenol, it's such a big product. Everybody has bought tons of Tylenol in their life. And if you talk to
Michael,
anybody, I'm sure they spend at least $50 to $100 on Tylenol in their lifetime.
right.
And there's not everybody that buys cannabis. Now, if everybody buys like $50 to $100 worth of replacement for Tylenol, of $50 to $100 a year. That's a lot of money.
Yes, it is. And that's what we're talking about when you see these projections from whoever, I don't know, Alan Brochstein or whatever, all these guys. No, that's not the guy I was thinking of. It's that
Todd Harrison.
Scott Harrison, right? So, yeah, I mean, this is what we're talking about. This isn't just Yahoo's speculating on
But
stock.
But honestly, man, like I didn't even really see Todd Harrison's post like about the whole trillionaire, even though he's done videos before me. I
Yeah.
basically came to the conclusion because like I'm like such a deep thinker, man. Like I and my mind's like a math thinker. It multiplies the thoughts, and I like came to the whole conclusion when like everybody's getting all hyped. I wanted to know the answers
Mhm.
on my own terms. I wanted to know how big this industry is.
Let me put it in as simple and better as way as I can. Um, CBD is going to be bigger than THC in the long run. Now that's a bold statement, but it's true, bro. So
I think you're right.
yeah, so think of how big weed is and can be, etc. And again, with the medical push and with all that stuff, and with so many more people who don't want to smoke weed or be high, but they'll try that CBD because they have a fucking elbow injury or whatever, right? Like so, um, and again, having taken it now and knowing what's up with it. Oh, here's another thing. CBD is legal. I know you asked me this too earlier. CBD is legal in all 50 states of the U.S. If you didn't know that.
Yeah, and I'm aware.
So, um,
But
it's
there's FDA rulings. That's why there haven't gotten into Kroger's or Walmart yet, some of them.
well, yeah, I can see that. I don't know about that as much
Okay.
with the FDA stuff, but yeah, obviously, they're going to put it into food and consume ingestible items that go out throughout the entire country. Yeah, it's going to be pretty heavily regulated, which is good. Obviously, you want good shit. By the way, I heard the Johnson and Johnson deal actually they're getting the CBD slash hemp from China, which is known for having tainted shit all over the place. So even they're confident to get it from China. So it must be there must be a lot of good growing going on everywhere of the hemp and everything. So China, Europe, and all that stuff, Africa. So yeah, with FDA, whatever, they'll break. They'll the dominoes will fall with them too. It's only a matter of time for all this. 50 state legalization, CBD, you can get it anywhere. You can order it on Groupon. I'm waiting on a package of gummy bears or whatever CBD right now. You can't get it on Amazon as far as I'm concerned. There's no
Yeah,
there's
there's just like hemp oil or something
yeah,
like that.
yeah. I
Yeah.
was looking at it and I was like, wait, is this what I want? But no, unless it says CBD, not hemp. I a little unclear on the difference, but yeah,
I know what it's hemp oil doesn't have it's like hemp seed extract or something like that. It has no real CBD or very minimal like
right. It's just like the natural hemp juices or whatever. Yeah, so yeah, Amazon doesn't have it, but hey, anyone can go to Groupon right now, type in CBD, and you'll get page after page of like gummies and treats and stuff, which is awesome. I'm waiting. Like I said, I think it's Kangaroo brand is like what I ordered. It's like $10 for 250 milligram sour candies or whatever. I will say this too, because we're just going rapid fire. I think a great expansion of of THC and CBD and all the other shit. I think they need to expand into more healthy products. So instead of everything just being this sugar candy bullshit, which is pretty much what it is, they need to have like oat bran granola hippy dippy CBD vegetables or whatever the fuck, like so people can feel healthy. Like the whole foods.
I don't think it needs to be vegetables. I think it just needs to be uh similar to what Gatorade does.
Healthier snacks is all I'm saying. In other words, to capture that Whole Foods stuck up health nut.
Yeah, I guess a
Yeah,
granola bar with CBD or stuff like that. But
any,
I
yeah,
think the big thing would be just bottled water with CBD.
yeah, that could be a good. Yeah, should be big. bottled water. Yeah, obviously you're not going to put it into like a vegetable or a fruit, but yeah,
Eventually, I'm sure they
yeah,
might do that, but that's like a little ways away.
yeah, that's Monsanto level shit. But yeah, I mean, you could put it in, yogurt, ice cream, not healthy, but whatever. The dairy stuff, obviously any drink, kombucha, whatever, you name it, like anything, bro. In fact, I put again one of these. I put one of these CBD drink mix powders into a beer the other day. I think it was a Coors or Coors Regular. I poured it from the can into the glass. Then I put the CBD in. And first off, it made this big foam. It was like this epic foam at the top. It was like just this big brick of foam. It was like thicker than normal. And then when I drank it, dude, one beer with the CBD, and I was like nodding off, bro, like at the bar, ready to go to bed, basically. One beer. So that shows you the power of it and the sedative things that it has to offer. Yes, there was beer too, but we're talking one beer, and I'm a big dude, so it wasn't that the beer got me so drunk that I was passing out. You know what I mean? So I mean the potential is really really high, man. Like when you change the world of medicine, I mean, people doing surgery, people recovering from shit,
I,
people sick. You know, go ahead.
what I wanted to talk about is I was thinking about this a few minutes ago. Is basically, what the Tylenol and all that good stuff is basically, and even prescription, especially prescription, that $1 trillion industry.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the health benefits has to do on a placebo level.
Sure. Well,
So go
go
on,
ahead.
go on.
Are you saying that that's CBD factors into the placebo thing?
Um, I think there's a certain amount of placebo with CBD. I'm not saying CBD doesn't have any benefits. I absolutely believe it has lots of benefits. But I'm
Hmm.
just saying though, as humans, we are I don't know how to say it, but people are influenced by placebo effects.
Well, yeah, I mean, supposedly they've done the studies. They give people a sugar pill, and then their ailment gets better, and it's all
And
because of the power of the mind.
and that could be a detriment to why cannabis isn't a humongous industry yet, because the placebo effect that's negatively affected the cannabis industry. Because if you look back in the last 25 years, everybody's been telling people that cannabis is a bad plant and it's bad for you, blah blah blah, and
Well,
people are
everybody wakes
brainwashed.
up. Well, I wouldn't say the last 25 years. I'd say more like the last 100 years.
Yeah, I mean, we could go on forever, but yeah, that's
But it's gotten better in that time because obviously
in
we've
the
got.
last 5 to 10 years, yes, but
Well,
it,
I
it
mean,
has it has ways to go because there's so many people that are obstructed in their whole consciousness that they
yeah,
they they don't want to try cannabis in the
yeah,
CBD form because they were told their whole life that it's bad, and but
yeah.
then they're so quick to take any pill that their doctor tells them. So it's
Well,
just it's
yeah,
it's
all
loony.
all the toxic fucking big pharma, you know, yeah, just bullshits that mess with your brain. Yeah, I mean, I've had bad experiences using like antidepressants or whatever, anti-anxiety bullshit, Wellbutrin, shit like that. Have you ever taken that? Oh, I got a sneeze over here. I need some CBD for my sneeze, man. I don't think it's gonna happen actually. Maybe it will. Don't you hate this when it's a live show? Okay, I think it went away. Thanks to the power of this, bro. Um, so, oh yeah, I'll give another shout out. I'll give another semi shout out here. This vape cartridge right here. I got this at a place called MedMen. Maybe you've heard of them.
Hey, have you ever tried the Jupiter vapes from Tilt?
Not to my knowledge,
Okay.
no. Yeah, I don't like. I just get what I get. Like this vape is a company called Old Pal, which I thought was funny. I'm like, does that mean it's old? Like this thing itself is old? But no, these are the discount vape cartridges you get at MedMen. I went to the one in Venice Beach here, and hey, just whatever. I mean, it hasn't worked perfect. I thought this was funny. They have this little warning. See, it's like a weed leaf with the exclamation point, like, don't smoke this unless you're trying to smoke
Dude,
weed.
in Canada,
Yeah.
it's like 10 times worse.
What's that?
The
What's worse?
warning labels.
Oh, really? Yeah, I bet. Like, kids, stay away from this.
Here, I got one right here. It
Yeah.
says it's right here. This
Let me see. It's still it's blurry. I can't read it.
it's
I see a weed leaf, and
and
yeah,
then this is a whole part of the whole thing that's saying warning signs. Do not use if pregnant or breastfeeding.
unless you want your kid to be the next Snoop Dogg. Um, but yeah, man. I mean, I forgot what we were saying, dude. I just
The
on a okay,
placebos and the
oh yeah.
pharmaceutical industry, but I
Well,
mean, we
on a
can we can pivot to another
yeah, I, I was gonna say on a sort of related thing. I've heard that it takes up to like an entire gram of CBD for it to become bioavailable. Now, I'm not an expert on all that, but I think it means like in this case, for it to really like unlock what it can do.
I honestly agree with what you're saying, and I'm taking pharmaceutical things, and I it's kind of the same thing. It gets into your system, and it
Right.
slowly like gets working with your body after maybe a week. And I
Yeah.
honestly believe the same thing with the CBDs. If you take it, this is my opinion.
Hmm.
If I haven't taken it for a month or whatever, and then say I got these pills from
Yeah.
Aurora, and they have the best pills. I
Right.
take it the first day I take it, I won't really like it won't really influence myself. But if I
Okay.
continuously take it, my stress levels and I'm more fluid in life
Sure.
and it just kind of builds in my body and it's good.
Yeah.
It's positive to my whole immune system and everything.
Right. Like that's what these all these brain drugs or whatever are supposed to work that way. So I can definitely see that. Yeah, your receptors kind of get in touch with it and everything. Because what I was thinking, like, if you took an entire gram or 1,000 milligrams of CBD every day, even not all at once, even if you took it I mean, dude, that is so much, man. You would be sleeping for days on end or whatever. I mean, you would just be, at least for me, because if fucking 10 milligrams or whatever can put me right to bed, um, dude,
CBD doesn't like I understand that it kind of works for people differently, but
yeah,
honestly, for me, CBD doesn't really make me sleep. It calms me down. What makes me sleep is indica. I need a strong indica.
yeah, I mean, I can feel that. Yeah, like you said, it's going to work differently. Maybe you need to take more or whatever, but yeah, it's gonna and the this is another thing. The combinations they're going to end up coming up with, CBD and they already have it like CBD and CBN or whatever. Another
Yeah, the
brand.
CBN
Yeah,
and there's like the THCV and there's all these different things. And it,
yeah,
it gets confusing, but basically there's different and I think what people haven't even learned as well, which I think may play a fact, what it's obviously gonna play an effect in the recreational industry, but I think it could play an effect in the medical is the certain terpenes.
well, those are the things that, from what I understand, are kind of like are in the plant, obviously, and the way that they mix with all the oils and whatever gives you what they call the entourage effect, meaning all the shit together gives you a different feeling than you get from just like a some CBD capsule or whatever. Um, and yeah, so that's one thing. That's something that could keep a lot of the growing and the big grows around for a while because the people, their recreational type of customers are going to demand that because they want the best flower, they want the cool mixture, hybrid flower, and all that good stuff. Um, but also with the synthetic the stuff that's on the horizon, the synthetic CBD and THC, they're actually going to be able to create some of the chemicals, the CB whatever, CBT, CBD, CBN. They're going to be able to pull out stuff that you can barely get in an actual plant. Does that make sense? So
I agree, but
yeah,
I'm not. I do think the pharmaceutical industry is going to be an amazing place,
hmm,
but for myself, I honestly think that I wouldn't be influenced to get into talk to my doctor and say, "Give me that." What
hmm,
I would be more interested in if they come out with wellness products that have, say, CBD and CBN, and they have THCV. That would be on the rec market, but as well as different terpenes, because a
Yeah,
lot of the terpenes have good, really effects on your body. You know, you get like limonene and all these different things. On the
yeah.
BC Cannabis Store, I could talk about that for like an hour and on.
They're getting, they're like the next vitamins, basically. Like back in the day, you hear about vitamin C and shit. Now it's gonna be terpene number 2279 or whatever the
It's
fuck it's
it's
called.
it's it's herbal remedies. I mean, that's
Yeah,
what you're getting. And basically, so long that everybody has been consumed with, oh, you can only get your help from seeing your doctor and getting prescribed Zoloft or whatever the case,
Axel.
but it's missing all these terpenes that are healthy for um, creating immune strength in your body, creating calmness, all these different things that aren't acknowledged in our society, and
Yeah,
they've been put on a black cloud. They've been told that they're
yeah.
terrible
They're
when
still
they're
fighting the legal battles and all that bullshit, federal legalization or whatever of all these things. And yeah, you're right, man. This wellness industry and all that, it's just getting started, bro. Like it's in its baby stages. Like it's kind of there's been a lot of lame shit in it for the past 25 years. But people in general are more conscious. But yeah, once this science and stuff starts coming out, like what we were talking about years in advance because we study this shit, yeah, like there'll just come that point where no one can deny it that this shits are effective, and there'll be terpene milkshakes or whatever they'll have, and just big like what I sort of want to get is just like a big like protein powder sized jar of just CBD isolate or whatever, right? I mean,
CBD ice is expensive. Holy man.
I know, man.
I
That's the problem. It needs to
I
come down.
Yeah. I,
Yeah.
I bought some of it in when I was working last summer, and I bought $50 worth, and it was really small.
Hmm.
I put it on my tongue, and it made me feel good, but at the same time, like in the back of my head was like, oh my God, this shit's expensive. Like I
Yeah.
can't I can't use it like as much as I'd like to.
And that to me, that's one of the big pain points, as they call it. Because yeah, man, who wants to spend all this money on just I mean, people do on weed, obviously, and alcohol and stuff like that. But it's just about a shift, man. And the price will come down again with the lab synthetic stuff and just big pharma getting into it and being able to lower the cost to the consumer. It will again eventually it'll be like a bottle of aspirin or something. You get it for you get a small one for $5 or whatever, or you can I don't know get more.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I know that some of these companies they're pissing money, they're not making any profits, especially in the Canada regulated industry, because they're taking effect of the retail industry. Because I mean, just imagine if these companies were just able to sell their recreational products off of their website.
But they can't in Canada. You're saying
That's
so
that's a big bottleneck. That's a word
even
I've been hearing from people. Bottleneck.
even CBD, huh? They can't do it even with the CBD flow.
CBD is pretty much more regulated, man. I mean, it has to get to a point where it's more kosher, but
Yeah,
basically you can't uh like with the hemp CBD, they need to have more hemp CBD products in Canada. It's too regulated. So
yeah, man. I mean, just the legal issues. I mean, think of the legal and the regulation issues you face in just a regular business that has nothing to do with weed or anything. Just like whatever. A family,
taxes,
yeah,
accounting, all that stuff.
anything. Yeah, you could be in the textile business, and you still have to deal with a lot of shit. So yeah, and then you add this cannabis and slash whatever hemp thing on top of it, and it's a lot to deal with. But the point is, the train keeps rolling because the money is there. It's undeniable. The profit potential's there, and then you slowly get the politicians and the whoever on board, and eventually the hammer drops, and things get more streamlined and more legal, whatever. And yeah, we're just seeing the end. It's just like prohibition of
But
alcohol.
what you were talking about before is about how California and BC or Canada is a battleground.
Sure. I mean, basically, there's like California is a special case amongst like America, right? Because it's like the biggest state, it's the biggest market uh, for cannabis, etc. It's a pioneer. We've had medical marijuana here since 1996, I believe. So a long fucking time. We've had medical and dispensaries and stuff. And so it's a great, I mean, not that it's a test market, but it's a great test market for how things will play out everywhere else. They always say California leads the way. So if people are buying shit in Cali, they'll probably also buy it in North Carolina or whatever, and every other state. So the problem is, and we were bitching about this off air, but like California is also known for its high taxes, up your ass regulations, general unfriendly climate for businesses, import, export, again, you name it, everything, every problem in the world. So, and I've read shit like that, like the stupid rules.
That's a whole bunch of can of worms, dude.
I know, man. I mean, the regulatory bullshit in Cali is stifling the industry right now. Like they limit the number of dispensaries that can open.
Um, I want to make a point. Basically,
Yeah. No, go ahead. Keep going. I'm just
is
saying.
is there's a problem with a state being too regulated and not being unregulated. You know what I'm saying? It,
Well,
it has to meet that sweet spot because Oregon's hasn't been regulated and there's too many companies
right.
and the
But
price is down too much. So
that's
there,
good for the end consumer, though, in a
I
way.
agree. It's good for the end consumer, and I should go uh, visit there and have a good time.
Beautiful place. Yeah, you should. You should go to. I would
Portland,
recommend anyone watching this. I haven't really been to Portland, or at least no. I've only like been through it, but
I'd be in there.
yeah, it's weird. I'm like giving a shout out to Oregon. I haven't even been to Portland, but Eugene, and I spent some time. Do you remember the eclipse that happened? And
Yeah, I saw the eclipse. Yeah.
yeah, so I actually saw the full eclipse. I was in the little strip up in Oregon where it totally blocks out the sun, and that was near Salem. I didn't go to Salem, but I was in a place called Independence.
Okay.
Love it up there, man. So Oregon's awesome. Eugene has dispensaries everywhere, all through up there. You can stop off and get your shit everywhere. Is it the quality you want? That might be the heart. That might be bad for customers. Like, how do you know how good the quality is if it's so unregulated, right? So you might get some. I remember I got some herb there, and when I got it home, I looked and it said this was grown like 6 months before that or
Oh
something like that.
wow.
So it was
Well,
older.
the 6 months
Yeah.
before, honestly, that happens here, and we're in a extremely intense regulated industry.
Hmm.
The time isn't that's not what they're looking for. It's the pesticides and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Yeah, the time thing isn't that big. I mean, I still smoked my whole stash that was from the
Yeah.
year before or whatever. I mean, you could laugh. People put it in the freezer. Weed will last. Like that's the whole point. But yeah, the
It's
pesticide.
not going to be fresh and it's not going to be
Yeah, they have to
nice. It's
transport it.
not going to be, you that's why you need the craft growers. The craft growers need to be have their place in the market.
Like, tea God, baby.
Uh,
We're not going to get off on that bullshit. But yeah, I mean, the people who say they're going to do all that. But yeah, man, I mean, so a place like Oregon's good. Oregon is basically the kind of ground zero for cannabis in America, really. I mean, Colorado also, like, Colorado was the first, but Oregon just has that thing about it. Like, there's such a hippy dippy
okay.
smooth vibe up there. So, you know, it's it makes sense. So yeah, I mean, I'd recommend going. I'd recommend checking out the shit that they have. But yeah, all the competition, it's like you don't want too much competition in the business world, right? Because then shit just gets crazy. Too many cooks in the kitchen, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
motherfucker.
but you also don't want too much regulation. You don't want under
No,
regulation, or you don't want too much regulation. You
ah,
want
exactly. You need to let business be conducted, and you need to make sure the shit is safe, especially when you're eating something or whatever,
well,
drinking something.
the biggest thing that bothers me is the fact is nobody's invested and making good money in Oregon because the profit margins are terrible. You're selling ounces for peanuts.
Yeah, I mean, even my little unicorn, Halo Labs, uh, they're having all kinds of profit margin issues in Oregon because it like even since they started in 2016, the prices have cratered, right?
But I'm
So,
hearing though that they're gonna work on that. They're gonna regulate
right.
it. And
Well, the latest news thing is that they're going to allow import export, right, from
oh
Oregon. Did you see that?
no,
Well, they're working on it because again, it depends on the federal, rules and shit. But the governor or whatever wants to do a
but
thing where you
but
could
that
bring.
would be bad for all the other states.
Not at all, not at all. It just gets the flow going. It gets the more the churning happens because if you send shit from Oregon to Montana or
Yeah,
what,
if it goes to some of those small states, but I'm just saying though, if all these outdoor growers in Oregon start like growing like 100,000 kilograms and they start flooding the market, then the prices in all these states, such as Florida, where the price per gram is very high, it'll go down.
well, then businesses have to deal with it. I mean, again,
Yeah,
if no one's buying your shit, you don't have a business. So, and people, like we said, the price of the stuff has to come down, CBD especially. Um, Flower, regular weed prices have kind of gone down and stabilized, and that's good for the consumer. But hey, who wouldn't want them to be even cheaper? You know,
yeah. I mean, there's been talks about bringing uh, it into a commodity spot price for flour.
I think they should.
But it's kind of hard to regulate on that because it's
Well,
it's this okay, it's just saying though that okay, Sidney Crosby, he's a hockey player, we'll pay him $1 million, and we'll pay Joe Schmo, who's also an NHL hockey player, $1 million. I mean,
well,
there's
well,
differences in quality.
Well, yeah, it's like it's almost like the next Bitcoin or something. It's like, okay, it has this price. If you look at one website, it's this price, but then there's this exchange and that exchange, and this one's in China and then this one's in Canada. Like, how do you
Yeah.
fucking get one price from all that shit?
Yeah,
You
I
know?
mean, I don't know how they do it too because they also trade orange juice at a certain price, but then you have all these different companies, Tropicana and all these things, and they charge different. So I don't really know how they would go about it, but
Because, well, yeah, because Tropicana's buying the whatever frozen concentrate or whatever it is, and they're making different drinks out of it, and that's what determines their prices, you know, item by item. And then it matters what region you're in, which supermarket you go to, etc.
yeah.
So
Well,
yeah,
well,
complexity.
Canopy Growth was talking about that they're gonna stop uh, giving information on how much kilograms they're growing.
Really
Instead, that was what Bruce was talking about a while back.
interesting.
Instead, it was going to be talking about how many milligrams or grams of CBD and THC contents, and that's how they were going to evaluate things.
Wait, so they're not going to report how much they're growing, but they want to tell you the percentage of.
They want to talk in how much percentage of their whole production that they've had in CBD or THC as if it's all in ingredients to the end user.
Right. So you mean like blends? Like we're working on stuff with 20% CBD and 10% THC or whatever it is. Because I know
Well,
there's
I
that
mean,
too.
it's the basis of okay, 200 milligrams of CBD, 200 milligrams of THC, but on 100,000 million scale to
Yeah.
that, they're going to talk in, we got 100,000 kilograms of CBD, pure CBD. I mean, obviously, that would take a long time to get to that level, but that's
Right.
where
But
they're going to talk about, oh, we got 10,000 kilograms of CBD in our vault.
interesting. But they're not going to. So what are they going to stop reporting on? The actual,
Well, they
you know,
they they used to report. I don't think that the last quarter they did. Maybe not. I'm not. I haven't followed Canopy Growth financials seriously, but basically, it would be they were going to talk just about the ingredients. So how much
yeah,
grams of CBD or THC is in their
right.
vault?
Okay. And now, what makes them the number one cannabis business in the world? I know you were talking about Canadian companies and what's sucking about them and this and that, and why them and what sucks and
Uh,
what got
I
us
don't
there.
know. They were one of the biggest. They've basically been aggressive. They picked up Bedrocan. They picked up Metrum. They're
Never heard of them.
I I don't think they're the most efficient or anything, but they're the most well known. And
They're the biggest market cap, right? Or they have the most sales too.
yeah, but basically the reason why they're so big as well is they got that big investment by Constellation as well.
Yeah,
I mean, that must have been in the woodworks for a long time before they got that because
for sure.
I told my friend to invest into Canopy Growth almost 2 years ago at $7. I
Wow.
because basically it went down to $17 and then it finally went down to like $7 in the summer.
Cratered. It
And
cratered.
yeah, but this was like a lot before that. It was only like $2, and I had a friend in my career industry that told me to invest in a canopy at $2, and I never did, but I should have, you know. But
Yeah,
the reason why is why that market cap's so high, in my honest opinion, is just because with connections. Because
right. And that's our theme of the moment is that these businesses that are so much bigger than the other ones, but then you look at like revenues and shit like that, and there's not as much of a difference. And then we wonder why are these other companies so much bigger? Because they have these insider
well,
connections.
yeah, Halo Labs did 8.9 million US or 8.7, whatever the case. That's over 10 million Canadian.
Right.
And Kronos Group didn't even do $6 million in Canadian. And they're worth like $5-6 billion. So
So, yeah,
you
where
have to question when you're buying and selling these stocks and you're doing fundamental analysis, it doesn't
who's gonna
matter. It matters about who the F is buying these stocks and is going to pump this up.
who's gonna give that $4 billion injection into this company or
Well, I mean, you got to look at it. It's not even that. I mean, Green Thumb Industries and Curaleaf and Harvest, you could argue that. I mean,
yeah,
those revenues aren't very significant, yet they're getting like anywhere
but
from 2.5 to 6 billion US or something.
well, it's their at the potential future value of the assets that they control. That's really the difference, sort of, right? Like if whatever, like
The MSO premium, I guess what you're saying.
yeah, when the MSO, like you mentioned, Harvest Health, right, a California company. I mean, they're scooping shit up. They're using the Aurora method. They bought this company. They own these guys. You know, like they're working with these. They're working with Halo. They bought what's the fucking company they bought? Like nothing.
Verano Holdings.
What's that now?
Verano.
Verano, right? Yeah, just stuff like that. They're just gobble gobble gobble. So once you have enough wind at your sails or whatever, people are gonna be like, oh, they're going places right there. I don't know. They might not have good revenue now, but let me tell
Well,
you, yeah,
that's the problem. It's this industry. They want to just focus on 5 or 10 companies, and
which
they
you
told
should go ahead. No, sorry, go
no
ahead.
no no say your piece.
I don't just gonna say which one should try to do in their own portfolio, in my opinion, but that's a different thing. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean basically they all these companies have a funnel effect, and Charting Man Dan was talking about this a few days ago, and I was really like starting to think about this, and it really is true. It's just a funnel effect. Basically, when there's a really strong proponent of growth in a certain companies, there was that back a year ago, nobody was even talking about USA companies. I mean, people might have owned USA companies.
Well, because a year, well, not even a year ago, but it was all about Canada, right?
Yeah, basically it was oh, Canada is the greatest and it's gonna make so much money
Ooh,
for these companies.
Canada. Yeah,
But I mean, I was still invested into Suniva because I knew California was huge. I was one of the first investors into Suniva because I knew
brought it to you first. You brought it to you first.
I brought it to me first. But
Yeah,
basically, I knew that it was as big of a economy as
Canada.
Canada,
Right.
and they wanted to be a big player. So I figured, well, it wasn't even that they messed up on their Canada growth. I mean, they have
Oh,
clinics in Canada, but they were gonna have a big facility in Osoyoos in Okanagan, BC, and then they stopped doing that. So that's
yeah.
affected their growth. But that's
The,
where I was so bullish on them before because both those things with
yeah,
Canopy and California.
that's a company where there seemed to be a lot of excitement for it going back, but it just hasn't really seemed to have gone anywhere.
It will though. They
Yeah,
right now it's at the turning stage. I
right,
mean, they fucked up in Canada with their grow up,
right.
but they still have assets. Like they got
Yeah,
a vape
exactly.
company and they have a clinic company in Canada.
This,
So
yeah, sorry to interrupt, but yeah, this is something that's kind of concerning me with Halo too, because their next move apparently is into Canada, and it's like, dude, why are you not going for Florida or wherever, man? I don't know, Texas, like big giant U.S. states where you
I
could really kick some butt, no?
well maybe they're talking with different companies in Canada and that could be
Sure,
positive. I mean,
sure.
it could be bad too. Uh I know Nutritional High, they're a small extract company and they have chocolates and stuff and they want to do that stuff. And they're working in they're going to work with Canadian House Wellness like a 40-50 million dollar market cap company.
Right, right.
But basically, I guess because
It,
it's going to be full legalization, they want to have their footprint.
yeah, I mean, it would be silly to ignore that market,
Yeah,
obviously, just because it's the pioneer, it's the first of its kind. And so, yeah, I mean, I have no problem with that overall, but it's like, yeah,
I
obviously, like you said, the USA is getting the heat now, whereas a year ago, no one gave a shit. And so,
I think that could be positive to be honest because basically I just learned from that Osoyoos cannabis company they have extraction technology. They have a supercritical Vitalis extraction equipment and
okay,
at their 10,000 square feet, but now they're doing a reverse takeover with this other company and they want to be a global company. So it seems though they're kind of backing out of being a dominant player for extraction, and that's kind of why I bought into them.
well, yeah,
And and then you have Valence Group and Metafarm Labs
Metaphor's been
who
kicking ass,
who
man.
have the lion's share of the extraction as well as oils, which kind of kicked me in the
Right.
butt, and I haven't bought back into them. But basically,
Oils has done pretty well for me so far. I mean, it's not, well, like it just shot up so fast.
oh yeah,
I wasn't heavily invested, but
no.
I made my profit. But yeah, now I'm trying to just, I'm trying to play the swing trading game with it, and so far it's going fine. But yeah, I think in the long run they'll do pretty well.
So I can see where maybe Halo Labs is thinking because they realize they already have extensive experience as being an extraction company
Right.
that they believe that with all their IP, with their vape technology and all that stuff like that,
Yeah.
that they could be a very dominant player in Canada, and that then they're going to get
Yeah, I mean, that would be great. I think it's really, I think the extraction thing, when these handful of companies that are really doing their thing in it, it's such a specific, it's such a niche thing, even though the potential and the demand is enormous. But to set it all up and to have all these labs and stuff, I mean, it's a big deal. It's not, it's not just, putting your thumb up your ass and winging it. Like the shit really has to be, as the guy from Halo Labs told me, this place could explode, literally. Like their lab, if someone fucks up and puts some fire in the wrong room or whatever, the whole thing could explode and kill 30 people. So
Yeah, I agree.
serious shit, man. And I don't think that will happen to any of these guys, but
Well, it could happen to some people.
it could.
Honestly,
It could if
that's
you're really,
the
yeah.
this is going to be a global industry. You got to think about how many workers are going to be in it in the future.
Yes.
We're basically at about like for all the the public companies, we're at like around $3 billion on a run rate for where the industry is in
Uh-huh.
North America and a little bit in Europe and stuff.
Three
But
billion. Okay, 3 billion a year in terms of sales, like amongst all. Uh,
yeah, I mean, basically on the top companies that New Cannabis Ventures has, you need to reach $5 million,
yeah,
and they're at about like 500 million per quarter, so that's over 2 billion. And I mean, you can decipher between U.S. and Canadian conversion, and you can split hairs. So I
yeah.
mean,
No, we don't do
basically
that.
it could be maybe like 1.5 billion run rate for USD
Yeah,
or 2.5 for, but basically we're at that level. We're early stages,
we're
and
just gonna start. Like
and
your kid, people watching, your kids will be working in the cannabis industry, if not you yourself, when you change careers or whatever.
yeah, maybe. But
It's highly
basically,
possible.
I think that it'll be 1,000 billion, which is a trillion. So that is it's
50x.
400x
Wait, 400x?
400x. Yeah.
My bad. No, wait. Oh, it's three. It's three. I was thinking 100. Right. You said 1,000.
So
Yes.
if they're doing about
500x.
3 billion, that's like a 330 or 300x amount of growth, which is explosive. Uh
Yes. I mean, we're talking triple digit X returns potentially in the next, what, 10 years, 12 years?
10, 15 years we're gonna reach.
Again, oh, dude, we got to do this. That's what I'm saying, people out there. If we're not rich at that time, I mean, everyone wants to get rich quick and be rich tomorrow and be balling by next year or whatever. But on that legit timeline, 10 years out, if you're watching this, you'll still probably be relatively young. Yeah, man, aren't you trying to be like balling? And this,
Oh,
how else are you going to do it? How else are you going to do it? Or at least make a little extra money. But I get it though. Who wants to wait that long and go through all the stress of like whatever? But we know this shit's going to grow. We have the vision and the information to where you know everyone else, or not everyone, but the general public's just not hip to this shit yet.
yeah, basically, I don't want to just sell for like 10% profit on stocks because these stocks are so volatile. Some of your stocks will go up 50%, but then some will go down. But you have to wait for a big explosion. When there's big explosions, that's when you sell into, and then you go in. I think that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go into cash, and then I'll wait for bottoms, and I'll slowly gain my portfolio. As long as I go on.
I saw in one of your videos you said that from a couple weeks in the last few weeks you said that cash as an asset performed better.
Yeah,
What was it, in the
in
last
in
year?
2018
20 better
for
than everything? What does that mean? Like if the US stock market went up 15% or whatever it was, how does cash compare to that for 2018?
well, if the majority of the stocks didn't go up in 2018, some did, some didn't.
Like
But
S&P 500,
the
whatever.
S&P 500 from like the beginning of 2018 to the end of 2018
Uh-huh.
like was at a loss.
Right, like a small
So
loss, right? Yeah,
so you would have been better off investing just leaving it into cash than
exactly.
to be invested.
Yep.
But USA dollar is too strong. I made a video earlier on, but it pisses me off because I'm invested into commodities, and
Mm.
these commodities aren't going to run until the USA dollar weakens, and it's a
Well,
problem.
the whole point is that I was thinking about this earlier, like just that anytime the price of something goes up or down, like a stock or commodity, it really just means it's getting either stronger against the dollar or weaker, right? Strong. So if it goes up in value, that means it takes more dollars to buy something, meaning it's stronger against the dollar, correct? Like whether it's
Um,
whatever. I
it
mean,
can be a multitude of things because it can be whether how in demand that thing is, the supply levels.
but I'm just talking about pure dollar to whatever else relationship. So that's all I'm saying. If your house is worth $1 million, but then it drops down to 700,000 because there's a market crash, that means the dollar is now stronger against, related
It
to the
can
house.
have an effect, but it could also mean multitude of other
Yeah,
reasons.
the other factors that all the factors that go into it are much more than that. All the yeah, like you said, supply and demand and whatever the market conditions,
Yeah,
macro,
it can be. Yeah,
big war with China, China. Yeah, man. I mean, I don't follow a lot of that stuff too closely. Like most people, that shit just kind of bores me. All this macro trade
dude,
war
that
stuff.
stuff bores me to death as well. But
Yeah,
I want to have an edge, and if
that's for that CNBC niggas. You know what I'm talking about, man? I got that financial TV on all the time, yo. I'm good on the news. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm saying a bad word. This channel will not get struck for that, right? But
no swears on this channel. We just talk. We're the CNBC channel. We don't.
yeah,
We
we're
just
just
kiss ass. We talk about how Donald Trump is the greatest president, and
I believe that. No,
he's never made any mistake. And my Justin Trudeau, he's the greatest of all time. He's never made any mistakes,
the
and
goat. Yeah, I mean,
he's the greatest of all time. Yeah, I have to kiss his ass every time when I wake up.
you go and lick Justin Trudeau's hunky man buns.
No,
No,
that's your job.
no, this is my job is to be the Trump supporter as a loyal red-blooded American who is
I support Trump to be honest, but
yeah.
I don't. I mean, maybe some of my subscribers don't really agree with that, and that's okay. I don't agree with everything he has to do. To be honest, I think a lot of it is BS. But I mean, yeah,
So what I've been doing recently with my buddy is we going out to Hollywood at night and just taking pictures of like strange people and filming them and stuff. It's
yeah.
pretty
I
entertaining.
saw one of your videos. It was
Yeah,
kind of
I've
funny.
uploaded about 7 video. I mean, when you go out late night and drive around and just like you find some crazy shit, especially where I'm at. Like we found there was a car just smashed up in the middle of the street, just with people sleeping inside of it, like right in the middle of a huge intersection right near me. We've seen police stuff where there was like 20 cop cars in Hollywood somewhere. Just weird shit, man. And it's weird. I can at least blame it on being high, but my friend's sober, so he has no excuse. Um, but yeah, man, just on a completely unrelated level. But those are the videos I've been uploading recently, just shit I find on the streets. And I don't know, it's fun, but I don't know. Once you've seen that side of life, like the the night side, it's hard to take everything else seriously. You know what I mean? To compared to all the people that just get up and go to work and
Yeah, everybody has a different life, and I agree. You can It takes time to really learn about the world on complex stage.
hmm,
It'd be nice if I didn't even care about things and but basically I do because I care about my investment portfolio, and
yeah,
I know
me
that
too.
these things have an effect. Unfortunately, it's
Yeah,
the psychotic part of the investment world that at any drop of the button there can be a war or there could be a rate hike or anything, and it can affect the
yeah.
market and all
The
your
next,
investments can go down.
yeah, the next 9/11 or something could happen, and then it's like, and I think news is used as a crutch a lot of times for like investment stuff where people are like, oh well, the trade war was announced and that's why my stocks went down or whatever, you know. And yeah, I think there's a big element of that, but it's like honestly, you just got to be confident in the investment you're making, and for some, you know, make sure that all the other shit is not gonna tank it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
In the
agree
long run.
because basically what happens with these stocks, and I'm very involved with all these. I talk about like I don't talk on this channel, but I'm aware of companies such as 3M, like Rockwell Automation, Apple, and all these different other stocks. And
Yeah,
I've played options on some of these stocks, and I've been aware. And basically, what the trade war is, it's has a scare on these companies creating revenue growth and profits so that everybody's scared. So what it does when there's these news items, it drops the market. And then eventually, once things cool down and people realize that they overreacted, then it starts going back up and it it equates to an equilibrium, if you understand what that means. And that's what happens with even the cannabis market. There can be newsworthy things such as, it's been through a year, there'd be things such as uh, Jeff Sessions and all these
yeah.
things.
Always, it's always
And,
something.
but you're right, you do make an element point. If the company's strong and they are going to be profitable month after month, but it's not just that because you look at CVSI. I mean, in a perfect marketplace where all these companies can be on the NYSE and they
Uh-huh.
have an equal footing,
Right,
then it would be like a normal market. But
right,
it's not a normal market because CBSI has been profitable for like quarter over quarters, and they're not getting any special treatment. They're
yeah,
under $500 million, and then you got Kronos Group that's being $6 billion, or Canopy and Aurora, and
right.
they're losing 150 million or whatever, how many million per quarter.
Wow.
So there's not an
They-
equal footing as far as the profit margins going, and that's why it's frustrating being someone that's really like ahead of the curve, because when you're
yeah,
ahead of the curve and you realize how many people don't understand things, you can't change these people. These are the people that are buying and selling the stocks, and they affect the markets until they learn and things become more like just rational. There's going to be irrational trading and investing.
yeah. I mean, again, it's like we can follow all the rules and all the whatevers of everything, but
Yeah,
the
listen to Warren Buffett and look
yeah,
at, oh, you got to invest in this and this is how you
go,
make money.
yeah,
No, you just get shot in the face.
yeah, go buy Apple and Amazon at their all-time highs and see how much money you make, which is basically what he did, right? His company at least. So yeah, man. I mean, and my battery's getting low here real
Yeah,
quick.
we'll end it off,
We'll wrap
sure.
it up. Maybe we should talk about Uber a little bit. What's been going on with that shit? I mean, people are disappointed with.
My opinion on Uber is basically I bought Lyft. I bought 3 shares, which is like over 200 US, which is a fair amount of money. Like fuck,
Yeah,
like I could have
agreed.
bought like 1,000 shares of like a 20-cent company, you know.
Or
So
a bunch of CBD gel caps, yo, or whatever, right? Yeah, exactly. You could have bought, natural shrimp butt, like a million shares or
well,
something.
not 10,000. I mean 1,000 shares
Yeah,
of a 20-cent stock.
you could
So
get a starter position in like a legit penny stock.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
so basically, I mean, it was just I just figured that it was gonna go higher, but I was wrong, and I lost about $15 per share or something like that when I
yeah.
sold, maybe 13. I can't remember, but I lost about 50 or 60
Lost it.
US.
Yeah,
And but I mean, it went a lot lower, so I was smart to get out when I did, in a sense. But I mean, if I didn't care, there's a good chance that it's gonna go to $100 in the next year. Who
sure.
knows?
Right.
But I just said I didn't want to see it keep going down. I
Yeah.
just wanted to play it for short term.
But you're not playing the IPO hustle after that, as you told me. Like we've discussed this off air. But
Yeah,
yeah,
the IPO hustle is basically these companies that are losing money and they have such crazy evaluations, and it just creates rich people who are inside the company or who invested early. It
yeah,
doesn't.
and remember, when it goes down, someone is still making money. Just because the general public buys it and it goes down and they get butthurt that they lost money, someone made shit by shorting it or whatever. I mean, well, that is how you do it, but yeah, I mean,
Well,
there's
even
plenty
if
of
they're just selling, I mean, they weren't able to
yeah,
sell till like 2 days prior. But
right.
these the regulations with Lyft is basically they were selling before it started the IPO
Wow,
to all these like random like rich folk, and they were buying the F up, and
right,
then they were offloading. As soon as they bought, then they were selling on to people like me and
right.
getting rid of their big positions.
Right.
So
Now, that doesn't mean if you bought at the IPO price or whatever, that doesn't mean that you won't be profitable a year from now or a couple of years,
no, I
whatever.
agree.
Yeah, like you said. So, but it's like they know that the short-term fuckery really messes with the emotions of the average person, and allows the game to keep being played by the big boys.
Yeah, I mean there is a rule that it's being touted that you shouldn't invest into IPOs, and I honestly believe that truly. Do not invest into IPOs on the first day or two. I
Wait
think
for the
I
dip.
think you need to wait at least a week and see how it is. A
Right.
week is early. It would have worked for Tilray, and
I'd say, yeah, right. No, I would
it's
say the big one like Lyft or Uber, maybe even a
two
couple
two
months.
Oh, I agree. That's
Yeah,
where I was going. Basically, I'm
yeah,
saying that's the earliest. That's
right.
where it worked for Tilray. But I'm
Right.
saying though the more majority of these companies, you need to honestly wait like 3 to 6 months for it to create a price direction or
Yeah.
whatever. You know,
Start looking at the charts and stuff.
and,
Buy
and
dips, basically.
it
But
needs to create a floor. It needs to create like uh
just
retail investor community and all this stuff
right.
like that. That
And yeah, eventually these shits. That's the whole thing with stocks. They go on sale eventually, right? They're undervalued, and when the dips come, no matter what company, the smart money is sitting there with cash, ready to buy in and ride that shit back up for the next whatever big gain that they can get. And it happens all the times. And even these big companies, you know, uh, even the biggest companies have big swings. They're actually much more volatile than people realize. I mean, there are people making whatever 30-40% on the biggest stocks out there, but it's usually sort of a longer trade, right? It might be a
Well,
swing
they don't need to do that. They can do the options and they can make short
now.
30-40% so
In a
fast.
second, yeah, in a second, or 300 or 400% in like a week or whatever,
Yeah.
right? So yeah, so yeah, there's a lot of ways to play it. Yeah, I pretty much either have to plug in or turn off my computer. I can plug
Yeah,
in. Yeah,
we can end this. I mean, we'll talk after,
yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
yeah, no, it's a good chatting about the cannabis market, where it's going, and just things about the industry.
There's so much more, man. It's like every time we do this, I always feel like we could talk a lot more
Oh
about
yeah,
it
no,
in one
no, no
session.
worry. I mean, the
Yeah, but
thing,
we
the
want,
thing is, there's only so much that people want to listen to, and they only have so much of a time frame to listen to videos.
yeah, I
So
mean, we look at this shit every day, probably for even whatever, a couple hours a day or whatever it adds up to. So, we got the info for you people. What do you mean, you people? And we're gonna get out there, check out my channel. Maybe I should do an interview with you for my channel or something. It would be the exact same thing, but it's more. I guess I run the show.
yeah,
But yeah,
sure.
you, you know, Infowars, right? Alex
Yeah,
Jones.
yeah, Alex Jones. Yep,
So you know his like understudy, the young guy who like does the show on
I
that
think
now. His name
so.
Owen Schroyer. Like
Yeah, I know
he,
Owen Troy.
yeah. So he basically granted me an interview, but I
Oh,
haven't
that's
been
good.
set it up yet. So that would be cool. I think that'll be hopefully one of my next videos, but we'll see. So that's a little preview. So if I can get the technical shit right, I'll probably have an interview with him coming up, which would be pretty tight. So I guess that's kind of. And I'm going to try to start getting more just YouTubers and different people from all around. But I want to do the cannabis stuff too. So yeah, maybe we could do another version of this, and we'll just keep it popping, yo.
Yeah, we'll pop
Woo!
in. It was good chatting, and I hope you guys learned a lot. Give us a thumbs up,
Yep.
and yeah, until next time, peace.
Keep it gangsta.